We get a lot of questions, Jace, asked to us, how can I give back to Idols Aside?
Mm-hmm.
And so this podcast today, that's what I want it to be about, how people can give back. A term that we have used on some previous podcasts is time, talent, treasure, and temple. And those are 4 areas that I feel people can give back. And so we can talk a little bit about that. Our offices for Idols Aside, we have an office in Lakeland, Florida, have a hunting lodge in Lake Wales, which is about an hour away from Lakeland. And then we are in Western Kentucky, have an office in downtown Paducah, and have a hunting lodge in Ballard County. Also, we are serving kids in our Kentucky area. We are serving kids in Southern Illinois and in some areas of Tennessee as well, and have done a little bit of work in East Texas this year as well. Yeah. And so we're that's where we serve. And so, talking about time, talent, treasure, temple, we always need help. In Kentucky, in Florida, in these areas that we just talked about. And so, you want to talk a little about some of the places we serve, Jace? Where we can use some help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mentors in schools are a huge one for us. I mean, just here in Paducah, in our surrounding area where our offices are, we serve in 24 schools, public schools. These aren't just private little Christian schools. These are 24 public schools that we go in during school hours. And we go in with our Bibles, hold Bible studies with these kids that are growing up fatherless, and we get to share the gospel with them. But we don't just go in there with our Bible to just talk about God, but we talk about life. We help them set goals. We help them talk about the struggles that they're going on in life. We help give them goals to aim for, to be able to set them up to be successful, because in 4, 5, 6 years, these kids are going to be in the real world, and we're trying to equip them to be ready for that. But 24 schools is a lot with two full-time guys, a part-time guy, and an intern. That's a lot of ground to cover and a lot of kids to intentionally do life with. And so mentors around Western Kentucky would be a huge thing for us. But, even if you're listening to this or you keep up with us on Instagram or Facebook, you can mentor kids right where you're at, whether it's in the school or whether it's in your church, right? And so maybe you're thinking, I don't know what being a mentor looks like. We can help with that. Yeah. We've been doing it. We do it every day. We can help empower you to be able to feel like, hey, you know what? I can mentor. And it's not some rocket science equation or anything like that to be a mentor. Really, it's just showing that you care, being consistent, and being authentic, and just letting these kids know, hey, you are a person there that believes in them, cares about them, and wants the best for them in life. And that being that consistently as a mentor is one of the biggest things, rather than having all the answers in life that you could do for a kid.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll answer this because I know this is a question that comes up a lot. You're probably like, well, how do you get to these kids in the school? How does that process happen? And so I'll explain a little bit of that. We do have permission from school boards, from the principals, from those schools. Anybody that is on staff, that is on volunteer, has to go through the school board system, background checks. But these youth that we reach, boys and girls that are fatherless, they are those families are reached by the school. And there's paperwork involved, stating exactly our vision, our mission, that it is faith-based. We're there. We're not pastors. We're not counselors. We just have a program trying to help fatherless kids with life skills, give them things to aim for in life, and then give them opportunities of lifetime that they normally wouldn't get to do. And then God is in the center of all that. But there is paperwork involved. Those families, those mamas, grandmothers, aunts, whoever is the guardian for that child, knows about the program, signs off, gives approval. So it is not a mandatory thing for every fatherless kid for those schools that we're in. Some schools we're serving 5 to 10 kids, and some schools will have 70 to 80 kids. Yeah, the numbers can be different in each school. But it is really the school themselves are the ones that reach out to those families, and we just pray that God opens those doors and puts the kids that we're supposed to minister to in front of us.
Yeah, and sometimes we walk into a new school, and maybe we don't get in front of the right person, or it's hard to get in front of the principal, and we have to go 2, 3, multiple times just before, the door even opens up for us to be able to share the vision of what we're doing. And so just because the door may seem shut in the beginning doesn't mean that a person should just give up and say, oh, I guess I shouldn't be doing this because the principal didn't want to give me 5 or 10 minutes to talk to them. I think consistency in that is awesome too. Don't just give up. Keep trying. Keep showing up. Keep knocking on the door. Send emails. Ask the secretary. Just keep doing it. Don't give up just because you met one little roadblock.
And I really challenge youth pastors across this nation. It's really going to make sense. If you're trying to get into a school to minister to fatherless kids, you need to go through a nonprofit organization or church. It's going to be real tough just to walk in the door and say, "Hey, I'm so and so and live in the community. Want to help?"
For sure.
It's
got to be the right context.
Yeah, it's got to be the right context, and and we just don't let anybody volunteer without us aside. We've got to know who they are. So those schools are going to be careful who they let in to invest in their kids. And so I just challenge you, if you're across the country and you may not have a fatherless ministry in your area, or Idols Aside is not in that area, find a local body church that is serving in the community and get that youth pastor, some leaders in the church, and develop a team of mentors to be able to go into a specific school. I believe every youth pastor needs to be in schools every week. To me, it doesn't make sense to sit in your office for 20 or 30 hours a week, and I know you got to prepare messages, you got camps, you got events. I get that, but I think the most impact you're going to see is being in those schools on a weekly basis. And you used to be a youth pastor, Jace, so I pulled you out of the office quite a bit when you were in the church.
Pulled me out, but served as a youth pastor with Idols Aside for 5 years. And it was tough, like during the COVID years and stuff, to be able to get in schools. But that serving this group of kids, that was a door for me to get in, because it is tough sometimes, even as a youth pastor, it's not like early 2000s where you can just go into the cafeteria every day. Most schools, you got to have you have to have a specific reason you're going. But what better thing than, hey, our church is wanting to minister to some fatherless kids and just help do life, because we know they're probably the troublemakers. They probably got the low grades. They're probably struggling in life, and we just want to help them. We're not going to force God down their throat or anything, but when questions rise, we're going to share our experience, right? But we're not trying to force some kid to become a Christian if they don't want to be, or they don't want to be a part of the group. They don't have to.
Yep, for sure. Another area that we love people to get back that are in our local areas where we have the hunting lodges. It's always a blessing to have godly men come and guide with us. Women that love to cook, clean, do laundry, that's always a blessing to have you. And then ladies, we need you to serve too when we do retreats for fatherless girls. So that is an area that people can give back as well. Another item I wanted to mention, and this has come up a lot lately, is we've got a lot of high school kids that are graduating high school, and not every kid that we're serving is going off to college. Some of them are going into trade school, and some just want to get a great job right out of high school.
Right.
And so those of you that work for a company and you're a manager and you're looking to hire people, or you own a company and you're like, hey, we've got some availability and we would love to be able to serve some of your kids that are making good choices in life, that have been through some hard things, may not have had that cornerstone of a father, but has done well, graduated high school, and has a good work ethic, and if there's any of you out there that own companies that would love to hire some young people, we that would be a blessing too.
Give them a shot, whether it's an entry-level position or just moving pallets or boxes or loading trucks, unloading trucks. These kids they're hungry for an opportunity just to learn what it's like to have a job and have that kind of weight of responsibility on them. It doesn't have to be crazy or anything like that, but just give them a shot, believe in them. They're looking for somebody to believe in them.
Yeah, they want somebody to believe in. And a lot of these young people too, they're looking for safety. They're looking for guardrails that they want to stay inside of. They love a plan, because they grew up most of their life without a plan, without consistency. So a job that they could show up at, 5-6 days a week, for 6 to 8 hours a day. A lot of them are craving that. They're looking for somebody to help them in that arena, and I think it's very healthy for them, to clock in, clock out, for a job, for 7-8 hours a day. That's good, but a lot of them are asking for that. They're like, hey, if they're craving it. A lot of young people are seeking.
Yeah, we had those 2 young men we were just talking to last week that one business here locally had said, hey, if you got some kids in your program that they're looking for a summer job, or maybe they're getting ready to get out of high school, we'd love to give them a chance to come on board with us. Man, told those kids, and they were like, hey, they're texting me every other day. Hey, have you talked to that company?
Yeah, when can I start?
Yeah, when can I start? It's not like they're lazy. They're just, I think some of them they haven't really been taught the life skills of how to go and approach a business or submit a job application.
Or how to fill out a resume.
Yeah, or fill out a resume. And that's challenging when you don't have a healthy home of parents that can teach you the right way to do that and help support you and challenge you and push you. And we're trying to challenge and push and teach these guys how to do that. But it's so awesome to see when business owners are taking that initiative of, hey, yeah, I can support you in these various ways, but also I can give these young people a real life chance at a job.
Yep, absolutely. That's good. Another item I want to talk about is being able to give back financially. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like for Idols Aside? How do you guys? People ask me all the time, how are y'all supported? Mm-hmm. And we're supported in a lot of different ways. We really ask churches, not even in just Florida or Kentucky, but look at us as local missionaries in this country fighting for this fatherlessness epidemic. Mm-hmm. Support us. We have people that are full-time staff, just like a missionary that would go overseas or somebody that's in pastoral ministry here in the States. We have a team of folks in 2 states that are boots on the ground. And so they all have to raise their own support in ministry. And so I just ask if you felt called to support any of our team. That would be a blessing. We've been blessed to have a lot of local body churches throughout the country say, man, we're going to support you this amount monthly. And then we have a lot of business owners, and I'd say we have a lot of support from just different businesses in Kentucky and Florida, but really all over the country. We've got we've had many men reach out and say, man, I saw you guys on Instagram or heard about you. You know what? I grew up fatherless. And I came to know Christ, and I've made it, and I own this company, and man, I just love what you guys are doing, and I want to give back. This grabs my heart, and this is something I want to invest in, and so that's been sweet. We've also tried to do 2 large fundraisers a year. We've got Adam Wainwright, retired from the St. Louis Cardinals, who's doing some country music right now. He's got an album called Hey Y'all. He's coming to do a big event with us in October in Paducah. And then Cy Robertson, who everybody knows from the Duck Dynasty show. They've got a new show coming out this summer again, which we're excited about on A&E. But he's going to be coming to Florida in November and this year. And so we do some fundraisers like that. But just and we're just blessed. We've got a lot of families and just people, individuals that say, I want to give back to something where I see the presence of God. Mm-hmm. And that's been sweet. I've had a lot of people say, I'm giving to Idols Aside because I see God moving in your ministry.
Yeah. I think it's huge too that we see so many of the people that have been supporting this give at a sacrificial level. Yes. There's so many of y'all that you are a blue collar worker, and sometimes those are the most generous people. Mm-hmm. I know big companies can write big checks, but I've seen families that you would not expect to be able to be as generous as they have been step up and just allow God to use them in a big way. And I think a lot of times when it's a blue collar person, especially if they're a Christian, here's what I've noticed with people's generosity is it's often out of a place of a response to God's grace. So their generosity is a response to God's grace, and therefore they know how much they've been given outside of their possessions and all things. They're thinking eternally of, hey, God has blessed me with these resources. Who am I to just, build up my little kingdom here, my savings account? You know what? I can sacrificially invest eternally into the lives of these kids and what they're doing at Idols Aside.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's you're giving to something that's gonna last eternity. It's not just a here and now thing. It's forever.
Yeah, it's not hay and
And
stubble.
no, it's not. And so, the lodges that we have in both locations, those are God's lodges. That's all His. We're so thankful that they are paid for. We don't have any debt on either one of the properties or lodges, and we try to be a good steward of every single penny that comes through this ministry, because it's God's. We're being obedient to the call that He has set before us, but this is all the Lord's, and stewardship is real important to my wife and I and to our team. And but I would just ask you if you're able to financially give back, if it's monthly or a one-time gift, it would be such a blessing, and it's going to go to help these kids. Things that we provide for these youth all year. I'll give you just you're not just paying for boots on the ground, which is a need, but we've got all the expenses that we have on both of the hunting lodges, just all, to keep up food plots, for groceries on all the retreats. And every kid that comes to the ranch, they get an Idols Aside camo hat that I have on now. They're getting camouflage jackets, T-shirts, long sleeve shirts,
Pants,
socks,
boots.
wool socks, pants, muck boots, camo pants. I mean, they're getting $600-700 worth of just clothes, but we're getting them discipleship materials, Bibles if they don't have a Bible. And that's every kid that comes to any of the lodges. Yeah. And so there's expenses there. We also have a fund to be able to bless these mamas, and those moms and families that we have gotten to know, and we see a need, and we can't reach and meet every single need.
Right.
But there's been times that we have helped some moms with vehicles. We have helped pay mortgages, pay electricity, help buy washers and dryers. We always do Christmas for a lot of families every single year. We always help with back to school. We have a program in both locations where if children in any of the schools that we're serving get A's, B's, and C's and no disciplinary actions throughout the entire year, at the end of the school year, we take them to go out to dinner to any restaurant they want and pick out a brand new pair of shoes at the mall from any store. Yep. And so there's a lot of kids that get pretty jacked up and excited over that. And so there's a lot of things. We have a boat that we have on Kentucky Lake that we're taking kids out in the summertime, and there's fuel required for the boat, and we buy lunches on the lake, and just a lot of
scholarship them to go to summer camp.
Yeah, we're sending kids to summer camps and in different states. We're even getting them outside of their local areas. There's been a lot of kids that have never been out of Kentucky, a lot of kids never been out of Florida, and so they're getting the opportunities to go to camps in different states that are Christ-centered camps, and so you can invest in that. And there's a lot of different things.
It adds up quick.
It adds up quick,
and that it's not just we handpick a few of those kids. That every kid that's in our program has an opportunity for all of that completely free to that mama. They have an opportunity to go to the summer camps, the hunting retreats, the lake days, the sports camps, all the things that we just listed. They have a chance to go to every single one of them. We don't just say, hey, you're only limited to hunting or you're only limited to lake days. And so if they want to do all of that, I mean, that's a chunk of money that we invest in that family just for a year, and we do that with them year after year after year.
Yeah, we have never charged for a camp or a retreat. No. Never have in 17 years. And before we started, I had some pastors look at me and say, your ministry is never going to make it if you don't charge. And I got news for you. Look what the Lord's done. 17 years, and yeah, we don't want a mama or grandmother have to pay for anything, and so it's been a blessing, and the Lord has provided, and He's provided so many ways. It's just, He provides in ways that don't even make sense sometimes.
No, it's silly sometimes.
And it's just been cool to see, when just when you're actively serving the Lord, doing His work, loving those, that a lot of people aren't loving, and God shows up and just does things. And, my heartbeat, I just want to fight for those that can't fight for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're really just challenging you again to partner with us. Yes, continue going and serving, but honestly, we're here at the grassroots level. What we're doing in Kentucky and in Florida, it takes people just like you who are listening to honestly financially support the work, whether that's a one-time a gift year, whether that's a monthly donation. Maybe you want to buy, maybe you're like, man, I can't fund a kid for a whole year, but I can buy kid a pair of shoes. And so a $200, $300 donation to buy a pair of kids some shoes is life changing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an awesome blessing.
They don't usually pick out $50 pairs of shoes. And,
no,
they want to get the newest.
They're going to sort through what is the
newest Air Maxes,
expensive.
and so we end up usually spending about $250 per kid that picks out a pair of shoes and goes and wants to get a big steak. And but you can also, we can provide a hunt of a lifetime. $1,500 for a kid, and those kids get. We even take kids on hunts even outside of our areas in other states, and you can provide a hunt of a lifetime. For us to mentor a child in each school, we invest close to $600, and with all that we provide, and so you can invest that way. We got those two events coming up. Adam Wainwright with the Cardinals. We've got Cy Robertson in Florida, and we sell sponsorships, and so we get a lot of businesses and families that say, "Hey, I would love to support your ministry." 100% of the proceeds go back to all those things that we mentioned that are needs, but it's just kind of a fun day where we get to share God's stories, and we're blessed to have some of these awesome guys like Cy and Adam come and serve with us. And
then you get to meet them and hang out.
You get to meet them, get autographs, hang out. Another cool thing too is just on our retreats with these kids. Sometimes we get ball players, that'll come and serve, donate their time.
Professional athletes.
And so some of these sports camps and events these kids go to, they get to meet some neat people that they may look up to or see on TV, and that are pointing to Jesus. And so it's been a sweet season, and I thank you all that are listening, that have been supporting, or that's a new supporter. Just thank you. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you, and I would just encourage others, if you can support. And feel free to call myself or Jace. We'll respond to phone calls, emails. If you have any questions, about our budget or about salaries or about the cost of operating this, we are an open book, open book about everything. We also, hey, if anybody knows anybody that owns a dealership that sells UTVs, we could use a new 6-seater UTV down in Florida. Those things are expensive. They run $20,000 to $22,000, I think, for a new one. But if
that helps us load the deer, take kids to the stands.
Yeah,
the
the UTV we have in Florida right now, that's a 6-seater, is a 2009, and we've had that thing for 15 years. And so just want to let you know, with all the work and things that we do on that, to have one of those for 15 years is almost a miracle. But we get those things serviced every year. We take care of them. We clean them after every retreat. We take care of our things, and so to see one last that long is a blessing. But we could use a 2025 Ranger or a Can-Am or Kawasaki, any brand. It doesn't matter what the brand is, but just a new UTV in Florida would be a blessing. And then, and if somebody has a farm in another state, you want to donate, where we could start another Idols Aside location, reach out.
Hit us up.
That would be a blessing too. So
you can't outgive God.
No.
And what you give, man, you are seriously investing it eternally. And man, there's no bigger reward than that.
Yep.
That God will look at you one day when you stand before Him, and He's going to say, "Man, you did with what I gave you. You took it, and you was selfless with it, and you were generous with it." And he honors that, and He loves to see His children invest in things that are eternally.
Yep. And last thing, maybe God's calling you into ministry full time. We need more people fighting for the fatherless. And Jason and I were just talking about this at lunch today. We could use people in a few different locations, a few different states, and we have some opportunities to grow in a couple other new states very soon. And so, maybe you're graduating college soon, and you feel like the Lord is calling you into full-time ministry. We would love to talk with you, and feel free to send in a resume, give us a phone call. We'd love to get to know you. And maybe you've been in the corporate world for 10, 15, 20 years, and
time to walk away.
The Lord's saying, "Hey, it's time to do something different." That happened to me, and it's happened to some others on our team as well. So, thanks for your time today. We're thankful for you.
Send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, email us, whatever, however you feel is easiest for you to connect with us, to see how you can support the work that we're doing here at Idols Aside. And just check out our social medias for more of the impact of what we're doing in the lives of these fatherless kids. Appreciate it.
And if you want to know more about Jesus, feel free to ask us any questions about Christ, because Jesus is enough and He's everything.
Yep, He sure is.